Were you having a nice day that was just full of smiles and rosiness? Yeah, let's see what we can do about that. Oh, sometimes these horror movies, they just get us, don't they? And a good one sticks the landing. And that's what we're going to look at today. I'm Sean Ferrick for What Culture Horror, and here are the 10 most disturbing endings in recent horror movies. Number 10, Fall. Fall centers around professional climbers Becky and Hunter, who find themselves trapped on top of a 2,000-foot TV tower. When they text for help, they realize the message won't send due to radio interference. Hunter drops her phone below, using her shoe to soften the fall, hoping her message will go through when it hits the ground. Sadly, and somewhat predictably, the phone shatters on impact. After their backpack falls on a communication dish, Hunter attempts to retrieve it. Although Hunter stumbles during her descent, she successfully grabs the bag and returns to the top. During the night, Becky asks Hunter for her other shoe to try the phone drop strategy again. Hunter cryptically informs her friend that she can't, since her shoe is still by the communication dish. When Becky looks down, she's horrified to see Hunter's corpse sprawled beside the satellite. Only then does she realize Hunter fell to her death while grabbing the backpack, and Becky has been hallucinating her presence since. But that's not all. With no other means of survival, Becky sends a text to her dad and then places the phone in Hunter's jeans. She then drops her friend off the tower, hoping her body will cushion the fall so the text will send. Although Becky's plan works, it's deeply disturbing how she had to splatter her best friend's carcass across the ground to get rescued. Number 9, Knock at the Cabin. In Knock at the Cabin, couple Eric and Andrew are staying at a vacation home with their adopted daughter when they're attacked by 4 strangers. The leader of this quartet, Leonard, claims the world will end within a matter of hours unless a member of Eric's family sacrifices another. Naturally, Eric refuses to believe Leonard's demands, assuming he's out of his mind. But after watching the news, the group bear witness to cities being swallowed by tsunamis and planes falling from the sky. After seeing these cataclysmic disasters, Eric and Andrew acknowledge the apocalypse is upon them. But because Andrew has endured so much hate throughout his life, including from one of Leonard's lackeys, he refuses to make a sacrifice, believing the world should come to an end. Luckily, Eric manages to convince Andrew to kill him, narrowly averting Armageddon. Although Andrew and Wen survive, this ending is far from uplifting. Not only did Andrew execute the man he loved, he has to live with the fact that he nearly allowed everyone on Earth to die purely out of spite. Number 8, Skinnamarink. Skinnamarink begins with siblings Kevin and Kaylee awakening in their house only to learn that their father is missing. Stranger still, all the windows and doors have vanished. As the pair try to escape, an unseen entity starts tormenting them. Kyle Edward Ball's experimental chamber piece is not for everybody. With its bare bones plot, minimal dialogue, glacial pacing, and static shots, it's easy to see why Skinnamarink doesn't have universal appeal. Whether viewers love or hate Skinnamarink, they'll be encouraged to see this micro-budget indie to the end, just to see where this is all going. But after watching the conclusion, everyone is sure to be left with more questions than answers. In the climax, Kevin seems to glide on the ceiling of a never-ending hallway. A text suddenly appears, reading 572 days, indicating the children have been trapped in their warped house for this long. While Kevin screams, blood spatters, disappears, and reappears on the floor. As the entity finally reveals itself, it asks Kevin to go to sleep. Kevin asks for the supernatural being's name, but it doesn't respond. Make what you wish of that. What the f*** ending. Number 7, Bull. In Paul Andrew Williams' horror thriller, gang leader Norm betrays his son-in-law Bull and has his caravan incinerated while he's inside. Assumed to be dead, Bull returns a decade later to murder everyone who's ever wronged him. Certain that Bull died in the fire, Norm initially refuses to believe he's back. But when his enforcers start being picked off one by one, Norm acknowledges his son-in-law has somehow returned from the grave. After Bull successfully kills everyone connected to Norm, he finds his son, Aidan, and brings him to a church. When the vicar appears, Bull asks her to make sure Aidan never falls victim to the same evil that his family harbored. As the vicar gazes at Bull's face, she's horrified to see his eyes are completely black. Through a series of flashbacks, it's revealed that Bull did die in the fire, implying he made a deal with the devil to save his son and exact revenge on Norm. It's a gut punch of an ending, since many viewers were racking their brains trying to figure out how Bull could have possibly survived the fire. Sadly, he didn't. Number 6. Hellraiser. In 2022's Hellraiser, decadent millionaire Roland Voigt finds himself in possession of the mysterious lament configuration. If a person solves the puzzle box, their body and soul will be banished to hell, amplifying the configuration's power. After Voigt sacrifices multiple people to the otherworldly cube, Hell's leader, Leviathan, rewards the sadistic socialite for his work. To Voigt's horror, his gift is a contraption that fuses to his torso, leaving him in permanent agony. Believing he was cheated, Voigt traps Leviathan's minions, the Cenobites, ordering them to exchange his gift for another. The Cenobites offer Voigt's power, which he immediately accepts. Voigt is then transported inside Leviathan, where his skin is peeled off and wrapped around his body to form a flesh suit. As his eyes turn black, it's clear the last vestiges of Voigt's humanity have eroded away, and he has been reborn as a Cenobite. Although Hellraiser has shown people transformed into Cenobites in the past, this iconic series has never depicted anything as gruesome before, and that's saying a lot. Number 5. Hatching. Hatching follows a teenage gymnast, Tinia, who becomes increasingly agitated by her mother's callous and vapid behavior. When Tinia finds a mysterious egg, she gives it the maternal care she herself desperately craves. Within days, the egg hatches, releasing a skeletal-like bird, which Tinia names Ali. When the newborn murders the neighbor's annoying dog, Tinia realizes the two are psychically linked, causing Ali to instinctively act upon her mother's subconscious desires. Just to make things worse, Ali begins to mutate, developing a physical resemblance to Tinia. Despite Ali's erratic and violent behavior, Tinia does everything she can to protect her. When Tinia's mother is attacked by Ali, she attempts to stab the doppelganger with a knife. Tinia leaps in front of her child, causing her to be stabbed instead. As she dies, Ali's metamorphosis finalizes, so she looks like the perfect replica of her host. Just before the screen cuts to black, the Tinia clone cries out, "Mother." So what happened? Did the family accept Ali and pass her off as their daughter? Did they kill her? Did Ali kill them? Did Ali leave to try and live her own life? Unless there's a sequel, these questions won't be answered anytime soon. Number 4. Run. Run opens with Diane giving birth to her daughter at a local hospital. As she waits to take her baby home, the doctors approach her solemnly, implying something terrible has happened. The movie skips ahead 17 years later, showing Diane's daughter, Chloe, making the most of her life, despite her physical ailments. Because of how controlling Diane is, Chloe is desperate to live independently. While in the basement, Chloe is gobsmacked to find photos of herself walking as a toddler. Upon further investigation, she discovers Diane lost a baby during childbirth. Unable to cope with the loss, she kidnapped a newborn named Chloe, pretending it was her own. To make sure Chloe couldn't abandon her, Diane fed her poison, causing her to develop multiple illnesses. After confronting her mother about this revelation, the pair get into a scuffle, which leads to Diane falling down the stairs. The epilogue cuts to 7 years later, with Chloe arriving at a correctional facility to see Diane. Chloe pulls out tablets from under her tongue and orders Diane to open wide, implying she's been poisoning her for years and will continue to do so until her dying day. Diane may be a wicked woman, pretty messed up to see Chloe punishing her so sadistically rather than sending her to prison. Number 3. Titan. As unsettling as Julia Ducournau's Raw was, it's fairly tame compared to the French filmmaker's follow-up, Titan. In the prologue, young Alexia gets involved in a horrific car crash which leaves her with a titanium implant in her skull. The incident also awakens something deep inside Alexia, causing her to develop a sexual attraction to automobiles. And when she's inexplicably impregnated by a car, don't ask, her whole life is turned upside down. As harrowing as it is to see Alexia suffering physically and psychologically, nothing can compete with watching the birth itself. After going into labour, Alexia finds herself spurting motor oil from her mouth and breasts. As she dilates, the skin around her abdomen bursts open, exposing metal plating underneath. The way she flails in terror and agony while petrol and blood spews from her body is enough to rattle anyone. With one final push, a steel-clad but healthy baby springs from Alexia's mutilated body. Tragically, the force of the push is so immense the titanium in Alexia's skull ruptures, killing her. Try sleeping after watching that nightmare fuel. Number 2. The Dark and the Wicked. Brian Bertino's supernatural drama revolves around siblings Louise and Michael returning to their original home to care for their ailing father. Soon after, a dark entity begins attacking everyone connected to the family or house, compelling them to take their own life. After their mother and friends kill themselves, Michael tells his sister to abandon their father to escape the paranormal threat. Although Louise knows there's nothing they can do to save their dad, she refuses to leave, even after the demon attempts to possess her. After seeing an apparition of his deceased mother, Michael leaves and goes back to his family. As he arrives home, he finds his wife and daughters are dead, indicating the curse that plagued Michael's father has gotten to them too. Ready to join his family, Michael grabs a knife and slits his throat. But when he looks up, he sees his family aren't there, proving the entity fooled him into dying by suicide. What's more heartbreaking is the fact that Louise receives no reward for staying with her father to the bitter end. Immediately after he dies, the malignant being takes control over Louise, highlighting how her unwavering loyalty to her dad meant absolutely nothing. Number 1. Speak No Evil. In Speak No Evil, a Danish family, Bjorn, Louise and their daughter Agnes, are on holiday, where they befriend a Dutch family, Patrick, Karine and their son Abel. Several weeks later, Patrick and Karine invite Bjorn's family to their home, which they willingly accept. After seeing their hosts acting inappropriately, the Danes strongly consider leaving. Sadly, their decision to remain has dire consequences. Bjorn and Louise discover Patrick and Karine have befriended dozens of families over the years, only to kill them. The insidious pair then take Bjorn and Louise out into the middle of nowhere and order them to strip. Pleading for his life, Bjorn asks why Patrick and Karine are doing this to them. Patrick calmly says, "Because you let me," before stoning them to death. The epilogue shows the Dutch couple abroad shortly after, with Agnes forcibly pretending to be their child. Patrick and Karine can be seen getting chummy with a family who are oblivious they are about to be the psychotic duo's latest victims. Thank you for making it through this list if you were able to. You're awesome. I've been Sean for What Culture Horror. Thank you, and make sure that you follow us on Twitter at What Culture Horror, and then you can also follow us on the various socials. You are wonderful, you are awesome, and look after yourselves. Thanks very much.